Hey guys, this is Nikki.
This is Sam.
Welcome back to So What? What's Next?
I spent the bag on the bundle. Turn around and take a flip and make a double. Listen, baby, with me you ain't never gotta struggle. I'm in the game 650, catch a triple double. Watch it tumble, tumble, watch it tumble. Tumbling, tumbling, tumbling. This is coming and keep on tumbling. Watch it tumble, tumble, watch it tumble. Tumbling, tumbling, tumbling. This is coming and keep on tumbling.
All right, guys. So, as promised in season 3, Sam and I wanted to bring on individuals that can come on and, of course, share their knowledge and expertise with you guys as well. Because a lot of times we discuss topics that matter today or things that we're thinking about today that we won't even care about tomorrow. But in the spirit of that, we wanted you to start thinking more long term around some of the things that you want to do in 2022. Some of those things that you've shared with us is, of course, lose weight, apply for this job, get a promotion. But the number one answer is always setting a budget and, of course, how to save money and what to do with that money. So in spirit of those different requests, today we wanted to bring on Adam Tolliver. I refer to him as AT, so please be patient with me. But AT hails from Southwest Atlanta. He's a SWAT king over here. He actually is a Florida State alumni. He's part of the alumni as well. Adam actually comes from the background here where he says I love the fact that my job allows me the opportunity to empower smart and well-meaning people to make informed decisions on how to best take care of the people who matter most in their lives. He approaches each engagement with a strong commitment to helping clients achieve financial security for themselves and their families. Just a few little, credentials and accolades here. From 2017 to 2021, he served on the executive council. He's also won Agency Builder of the Year, Career Life Success Award, Career Life Producer Award, $1 Million Round Table 2 years in a row. Also sits on the board for Atlanta Smart Academy and also sits on the board as the VP of the Vision Foundation. Introducing you guys to my friend, my favorite financial advisor, Adam Tolliver.
Yo,
Hey, Adam.
what's up?
What an intro. What an intro.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel like I should bow.
You brought me in just right. I appreciate that.
See,
No.
now, Adam, when you get announced for your mayoral run,
Oh,
you know who to have bring you out now.
Here we go. Here we go.
Adam, I cannot wait for you to run for mayor of Atlanta. We wanted you to win this cycle. We wanted you in this last
I
cycle.
feel
But
blindsided. Is this in the notes? What's going on? What are we talking about?
we got Dre as our mayor, but I'm telling you, the next candidate season, I am so ready to.
No,
cast
they
my
got
vote.
it. They good. They good. Yeah, good hands. Like Allstate, baby. They straight.
Too funny.
No
Too
worries
funny.
here.
But no, Adam, so thankful that you're able to jump on with Sam and I this evening. So, if you wouldn't mind humoring us for a little bit, we have a couple of questions for you. And would also, ask you to correct us where we're wrong, and some of the things that we're thinking about or that we're saying in reference to our financial plans.
Sure.
But to jump right into it, like I said, our listeners, the top 2022 goal is how to budget and how to save money. And with your industry knowledge, and of course your zeal for helping others, what's some advice you have around budgeting, and what's the best way to stick or adhere to that budget?
So budgeting is one of those things that I'm always people don't always like my answer, but it's the most realistic answer that I can give. If you want a better budget, you either have to make more money or um, improve your lifestyle according to the money that you do make. And that's not always an easy thing to do, right? So figuring out sort of a percentage approach to your budget, making sure that what you're paying for meets certain criteria. So, for example, your housing cost. A lot of times, your housing is going to be the largest thing on your budget, if you can keep your housing costs below what we prefer to be about 28% of your overall gross income. So that's your rent, your mortgage, your principal, interest, taxes. If you can keep that below 28%, it should allow for the rest of your lifestyle to kind of fall in place.
So
I
when you
think,
say that percentage model, right? I know we
sure.
do pretty well with round numbers, right? So when
Yeah.
you say that percent model, can you kind of I know you started with the living expense. Can you kind of break that out for us?
Yeah. So, whatever you're making in a year, uh, you want to divide it by 12 and think about your monthly expenses for your housing and multiply that monthly number by 0.28 on your iPhone or your calculator. And that's the max that you should be paying for your rent, your mortgage, etc. You want to make sure and unfortunately there are a lot of people in this country, and especially in certain cities. If you're in New York, if you're in San Francisco, it's very difficult to keep that number low.
Right.
But what that does is kind of drive the rest of your budget. Like, you got to have a roof over your head. In a budget, you are really trying to make sure that you have space or room to pursue your goals. Like, positive cash flow is the point. So what you want to do is check the boxes on the things that you need first. That includes saving for yourself, paying yourself first. It includes housing and your fixed needs. Got to feed yourself, got to feed your family, got to keep the lights on. And then the discretionary things, and really where people tend to get away, is if you have too much consumer debt, if your car payment is too high. These are the things that are kind of in your control, unless they've gotten out of control. And so those are the things that tend to kill a budget. Those areas like eating out and entertainment, a lot of it just kind of gets away from you. So the way that you control it is you focus on the things that are fixed, your housing costs. You pay yourself first, so you do your saving. And Nikki, you know this as a financial advisor. I'm not the police. I don't get on people about their lifestyle and what they do and don't do. The goal for me is, if we check the boxes and you take care of business, you do what you're supposed to do on the front end, everything else is really yours to spend, right? So like, if I know we're saving enough, if I know we've checked the boxes on your risk management, if things are efficient as far as your taxes go, then what you spend on shoes, food, clothes, vacations, etc., all of that is you enjoying your money because you worked for it. But the issue is oftentimes the priority. People tend to spend and then save what's left over. Whereas what you want to do is pay yourself, save, and then what's left over is what you have to spend. And you kind of get used to it from that point forward. The best analogy that I've heard about it is that our spending tends to be kind of like a tube of toothpaste. So imagine when you get a brand new tube of toothpaste and it's full, you get a little comfortable, you get a little liberal with how much you put on the toothbrush every morning, get real
Right.
comfortable. And then all of a sudden you start getting down to the very end of that tube, and you can make that tube stretch for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, somehow, barely any toothpaste in there. We tend to do the same thing with our money. The day we get paid, we want to go out. We're going to eat a little bit extra that weekend. We might buy a couple extra drinks. We might invite somebody. We might treat them to drinks. So we're doing extra because we know we have extra. And then we get towards the end of it, and somehow we can make the little amount stretch, right? But what we want to do is put that money away first and then work with what we got left. And so that's really the idea behind it. It's one of the reasons that a lot of people do a great job saving in their 401k, but don't necessarily do a great job saving in other places, is because the money's taken out before they ever see it, before they get a chance to spend it.
Right. I heard the little jab with the shoes and vacation.
ain't no dad. Y'all, I got plenty of shoes. I can't.
You
can't say nothing about
you got a
nobody.
little specific on me. I won't, I won't.
That's just a hit dog doing what hit dogs do. That wasn't. I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So if when you talk about the fixed expenses that you have, how far up should life insurance be on that? I think that was one of my main things. After I had my son, I was looking at certain things, and it really was kind of keeping me up at night. Actually, until I called you. Where should life insurance be with people as they budget and fix a budget and everything like that?
Sure. So really, it depends on where you are from an income perspective and what your obligations are. Life insurance is one of those things where it's a core need in a financial plan. Um, so it's one of the four pillars for me when it comes to financial planning, which is protecting your downside. So making sure that you have protected your assets, your income, your family, and your health. And for life insurance, ideally, you don't want to be spending any more than about 5% on the max. The average of what you allocate, and when I say 5%, I'm talking of your gross income.
Mhm.
The average kind of rule of thumb is that we plan for 3 to 5% of your income to protect your future income for the people who depend on it, the people who, if you're making $100,000 a year and you plan to work for the next 25 years, then theoretically, if you never get another raise, if you never get another promotion, which we know is not realistic, but let's just say for easy math, you're going to make $2.5 million. And that is money that your children, your spouse, people who depend on your income now are going to benefit from. And one of the threats to you not making that money is passing away too soon, which is why we want to take care of life insurance. And so just depending on, the plan and the design and kind of where you are in life, we don't want to spend any more than 5% to meet that need. But really, the solution could be, anywhere from $70 a month, $50 a month to much more expensive. But it just depends on, again, the individual person's needs and where they are. But it should be very high on the priority list because risk management is a huge portion of financial planning. And unfortunately, sometimes people don't want to talk about it because it's not that sexy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things about family. I think everybody have a hard time having a conversation about. So and then when you talk about life insurance, it always comes off like you're trying to scam everybody.
Mhm.
Right.
Yep.
The first thing they say is, "You trying to kill me off? You trying
Yeah,
Right.
you trying to kill me off?" And it's like, no, actually, we're thinking about long term here, right?
Mhm.
So what do we think is the ultimate amount that we should be contributing to our retirement, right? We know that there's the 401k that we get from our job. There may be an IRA at our job, also different types of IRAs outside of our employment. There's other opportunities for us to put things into investments. Just from a high level, what do you think is what we should be contributing to our retirement funds,
So
our
everyone's
retirement
situation,
account?
sure. So everyone's situation again is different, but as a rule of thumb, what you want to be doing is saving about 13%, 10 to 13% of your income. Um, and we do include the contributions of your employer in that 13%. So say for instance, if you're doing 6% and they're doing 3%, that's 9% savings because that's money that is being contributed on your behalf. Um, and so for some people, that may include doing contributions to an IRA, which would be an individual retirement account separate from your 401k. If you are participating in a plan where your employer does not contribute on your behalf or does not match, then you, of course, need to make up for that saving somehow. But ultimately, what you have to do is start with the end in mind, thinking about what age you want to retire, thinking about what type of lifestyle and income you're going to need in retirement, and then identifying what those sources of income are going to be. So if you want to retire early and all you have are qualified plans, you've got 401k, you've got an IRA. Well, you can't pull money from those before 59 and a half without penalty, save for a couple of special rules, right? So being mindful of that. And that's one of the things that we help people navigate, when they say that they want to plan for retirement, we help really identify and shape what that actually looks like for them. And if there's any sort of special considerations that they need to make that they may not be aware of just because it's not what they do every day, then that's part of what we help people navigate.
Okay. So, man, that's crazy. So, the retirement part of everything, the 13 to 10%. I mean, I do a higher number because I like to try to bring my taxable income down a little bit. So should I be doing that, or should I kind of keep within that 10 to 13 range? Because I do around 17% basically.
Okay. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with being more aggressive. Well, let me caveat a lot of what I always say, especially when speaking to more than one person at a time, is it depends, because everything really does depend. Everyone's situation does vary. We've got rules of thumb, but what's necessary for one person or what's comfortable for one person may not apply to another. When it comes to saving, for instance, for retirement, one thing that I would be mindful of, Sam, is, if you're contributing more to your 401k, and especially with the goal of reducing your taxable income currently, you have to also be mindful of the potential of increasing your taxable income in the future, or increasing your tax liability in the future. So the money that you put into your 401k now goes in before you pay taxes on it. And while it's growing inside of your 401k, it'll continue to grow without being taxed. Once you pull that money out and start to use it as income in retirement, it'll be taxed at your normal income rate at the time. And so one of the ways to offset that particular risk, say maybe taxes are higher in the future. We don't know. We can't tell the future, but in the event that taxes are higher in the future, you might not want to pay at that tax rate. So what you would do is look at Roth options, a Roth IRA, a Roth 401k, if your 401k plan has a Roth option. And that doesn't mean that you don't contribute pre-tax to your 401k, but you might want to consider maybe some of your contributions, especially if you're saving aggressively, go towards the Roth side of things so that you can diversify in the future. But saving more aggressively in general, not necessarily a bad thing at all. Again, it depends on your situation, your plan, and what your needs are. And of course, that may fluctuate over time, right? Like at some point, you may decide that I need a little bit more cash flow month to month in the household, so I reduce how much I'm saving for the next 3-6 months or whatever the case may be. So it really just depends on the situation.
Okay, so technically what I probably should look at is maybe lowering it back down, that 7%, lowering down about 10%, and then maybe doing 7% Roth, maybe to help offset the taxes in the future.
That would be something that I would strongly consider doing. And tax diversification, the treatment of the way your money grows, how it's taxed as it grows, and then when you pull it out later, is a key part of the planning that I do with my clients. I personally, if I can guarantee as much tax-free income as possible in the future for my clients, I will be, especially because later on, when you pull money out, you won't be working to generate income. So you need more of that money in your pocket. That's my philosophy on it. So, doing a split, of 7% Roth and 10% 401k. Again, you're still saving the same amount. It's just a matter of which bucket you're putting it in and the tax treatment.
Okay.
Yeah, Adam, I'll say that's the one thing that you really taught me about the tax deferred bucket. Because we had pretty much everything else lined up, and you're like, boom, here's where you have the most amount of exposure. So with that being said, what would be, some of those things or some of the red flags that you see that you quickly try to correct when you meet with clients? Just give me a couple of examples.
A lot of the things that I see tend to be on the estate planning side of things, making sure that your financial accounts have up-to-date beneficiaries, making sure that your basic estate planning documents are in place, making sure that you have adequate life insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance. On the investment side, what I tend to see is that people do a good job putting away for their 401ks because, again, their retirement plans, because, again, it kind of happens automatically. You opt in at work and then you kind of don't think about it, and it's just happening over time. But where there tends to be a gap is kind of in the what I call the opportunity fund, which would be the sort of middle of the road. So typically people do a good job of saving for the short term because it's top of mind, right? Like, I know if I run into some trouble, something happens, I need to have a certain amount of money. Number one, just to live my life day to day, pay my bills, but then also in case an emergency happens. And again, we talked about retirement planning is done automatically, but then there's like this long stretch of time in the middle. Like if you're in your 30s and you're not retiring until 60, you've got your short-term money, you've got your long-term money, but then like if you needed $20,000 10 years from now, what bucket would you pull it from? You're not going to pull it from your retirement. If you need $50,000, $100,000, where would you pull that money from? And so building up a non-qualified investment account, brokerage account that's steady growing and that's as stable as it can be, it's going to be at risk because we want to put it in the market. But having that sort of middle bucket is where a lot of people solve for. And frankly, that's one of the reasons that most people end up reaching out to me is, they get to a certain point in their career where they're earning a certain amount of money. They're not so much in scarcity mode like they used to be. And they're like, okay, after I pay my bills, I still got money left over and my savings is growing and growing, but I have no idea what I should be doing with that money. I know it shouldn't be just sitting in my savings, but what do I do with it? That's usually where people call me is like, I just got a raise or I just got a promotion or I just got a new job. I'm making more money than I ever have. And now if I'm just sitting here looking at this money in my account, I'm either going to spend it or I know it's just going to be sitting there not doing anything for me. So what should I do?
Okay, Adam, I got this question. I'm actually a part of LLC Twitter. I have not made $1 billion yet though.
Okay.
Not yet. It's coming.
It's on the way.
It's on the way. Yeah. But what's some of the things having an LLC that you need to protect yourself against, and some things you probably should be doing so that you don't end up killing yourself with IRS and financial pit holes?
Yeah. So when it comes to business entity and formation, I think one of the common things that people tend to get kind of confused is, one, the understanding what protection you get by the entity that you choose. So having an LLC does not protect you tax-wise, for instance. It protects you legally, like you create some distance between yourself and your business, which is a healthy thing. If you want to get to sort of the tax benefits of being a business owner, then you need to get to a point where you have an S election or an S corp on your LLC, and you can do that, just by electing for it with your CPA or your business attorney, whoever helps you form it in the first place. Typically not the biggest concern until you are, I would say until you're making like maybe $40,000 or $50,000 consistently, like if that's going to be around the income that you're making. Understanding that is a big thing. And then as you generate more income, having sort of a consistent framework for how you're going to scale up and grow your wealth and build your business in a way that allows you to actually extract your wealth from the business. So if you're going to be growing a major business, oftentimes, and this is common of business owners everywhere, that asset tends to outgrow the business itself, tends to outgrow every other asset in your portfolio. And what you end up with is it dominates your balance sheet. So you end up with about 80% of your wealth being locked in your business, unless you have some sort of framework to extract the wealth from your business as you go, and an exit plan. So how am I going to get out of my business? Number one, when I want to, if I want to, or number two, if I needed to leave my business, how would I do so and make myself whole while protecting the people who I care about? Same thing with retirement planning when you run a business, and this can be difficult, but when you start a business, you kind of have to start with the end in mind, and you need to build a structure around you that makes it sustainable and scalable so that as it grows, a lot of the sort of the major hiccups and growing pains that come with it can be mitigated at least a little.
Okay, that's good information. I didn't actually think about that.
No, and I'm sure LLC Twitter appreciates.
Yeah, I chose dinner. I chose partnering with Adam instead of dinner with Jay-Z. So
that's smart man.
That's
smart
funny.
Man. So, AT, we could talk your ear off, for hours off end, but I think the best method to get the answers to your questions, guys, would be able to reach out to Adam directly. Where he can connect with you and understand your goals and help you to reach those goals. Adam, we're going to drop your contact info into the comments as well as into all of our links. But if you would be so kind to share your social media handles so people can follow you, locate you, and be able to get their 2022 off to a good and healthy financial start, that'd be great.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Adam C. Tolliver, Tolliver, Tolliver. And if you want information on what it's like to work with me, what my process looks like, what my typical clients look like, you can go to workingwithadam.com. Workingwithadam.com, all one word, essentially.
I like that. Workingwithadam.com. I feel like I can go on there and leave a couple of testimonials.
Well, ain't no testimonials. Them people don't like that. But that's all right. That don't worry about it. You can tell people what you want to tell them about me personally, privately.
I really try to share the good gospel that you have enlightened me with. So, I will continue to make sure that I connect, people with you so you can continue to do God's will in our financial lives.
Always.
You still dabbling in life insurance, correct?
Yeah, that's all part of planning. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So make sure you hit them up. If you don't have life insurance and you got kids, get some life insurance. Don't be afraid.
Please. We don't mind donating to your GoFundMe, but
I'm not doing it.
I do.
We would prefer you have life insurance there first.
I did a whole speech for the first year with the family. I said, listen, I'm not donating to no more funerals. I'm out right now. You can go sign up for life insurance. I'll give y'all a number right now. I'm out. No more donating for life insurance policies.
Put his foot down. He's showing leadership. So. Hey.
Awesome. Well, Adam, we thank you so much for coming on to So What's Next. We appreciate you.
I appreciate y'all for having me.
All right, man. You be great.
All right.